Good morning and welcome to the Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce and to today's webinar on powerful public speaking. I'm Narendra Multani, account manager here at the Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce. I work with businesses in the Thames Valley and have worked closely with my member Dee Anderson, who will be delivering today's webinar on powerful public speaking. Dee is the daughter of the famous Jerry and Sylvia Anderson, who are the creators of Thunderbirds, and has been brought up in a world of celebrity and entertainment.
Hello, I'm Dee Anderson, and I'm going to be talking to you today about powerful public speaking. I'm going to be covering subjects like visualization, interaction, and performance, and I'm going to tell you about my experiences over many years and to help you to overcome fears, because the fear factor for talking in public is very real and very common. I've been talking to Narendra this morning about it. Everyone has it, including me. I'm not talking to you from a great height.
Including me as well.
We've all been through it. And basically, it's probably one of the top fear factors in everyone's life, to actually stand up in front of an audience or in front of anyone to talk about, to deliver a public speaking presentation. So my thing today is to actually get everybody to go away with, even if it's one thing to help you to start your journey to be a great public speaker. Everyone can do it. It's really in all of us. So whatever your fears are, we can overcome it. And the whole point is actually to write down your fears, your worst possible fears that you could ever imagine. So I was talking to Narendra earlier, and we both said actually maybe shaking voice, or stumbling on our words, or making a complete idiot of ourselves in front of an audience. All of those things are very common. So I want you to start by writing down your worst possible fear. And when you do that, we've started the journey already to overcome that fear, because once we look fear in the face and stare it in the face, it takes the power of the fear away, and actually we can overcome anything. Visualization is something that athletes do, Olympic athletes. Sally Gunn recently told me that when she won her big Olympic race in the 90s, she visualized winning, and she overcame a terrible thing. She woke up on the day and had a cold, which she wasn't envisaging, but she overcame that because she knew she was going to win. So visualization is very powerful, and a lot of people poo-poo it and say, oh, no, it's absolute rubbish, but it isn't. It really, really works. Also, I'm going to be giving you a lot of technical exercises as well. So I will tell you, we'll talk about posture, we're talking about projection, and we'll talk about performance. So the main thing today is to start the journey for breaking the deadlock. So we're going to talk about you, what actually is your greatest fears. We're talking about you as a unique individual, and we're going to talk about overcoming stress and anxiety. The first thing I would like to say, after we've written down our biggest fear, say shaking voice, stumbling on your words, not being charismatic enough, but all of you are charismatic enough, because the fact that you're actually in a position within your company to be able to deliver, to be asked to deliver a speech, means that already you're a high achiever and you've got something to offer. So the thing that I do with most of my clients is that I ask people to write down your unique qualities. So you do a list of the really positive things about yourself. Stress management, overcoming anxiety. I can give you a very good technical delivery for that. Narendra and I actually have already been working on how to overcome nerves, and it really is about breathing That's the very first thing that you do.
Which I
breathing.
believe is quite key, and it really did help.
Yes, it does help.
Definitely did. Yeah.
It does help.
Mm.
Meditation is very important. And the first thing I'd like you to do, should we do it now, Narinda?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, let's do it now. Okay. So what I'd like everyone to do, and you may be actually at your laptop, can you please stop for a minute at your laptops and just stand against the wall. And I want your shoulders, your back, your legs, your feet to be bang against the wall. Are you doing it? Go on, Narinda.
I'm trying.
She's
While
doing it.
sitting.
She's doing it now. And I want you to breathe. I want you to take your arms above your head. And I want you to imagine that each finger and your thumbs is actually locked into a star, each one. So there are 10 stars with bright, shining lights. And you breathe deeply. And you bring your arms down. And I want you to bring the light through your body, the whole of your body. And breathe. You breathe deeply. And as you do, your mind will start wandering. Maybe, have I switched the light off this morning? Have I left the kettle on? Forget all that. Every time your mind wanders, come back to the breath. And breathe deeply. And try to do that every time you speak, just before a performance.
It's a really good relaxation technique as well. So.
It's a really good relaxation technique.
Thanks.
Performance. Forget the word performance, because then we're under pressure to perform. Forget that. You've got to be yourself. You've got to find something about yourself that you like, and I work with you on that. It can take, I mean, some people are resistant. That's all right. You don't have to reveal all to me, but just ask yourself. Now then, vocal enhancement. Projection, owning the voice. Nobody likes the sound of their own voice. You know, you hear your voice back. We never come across the way we think we come across. And it's always a shock when you see yourself or you hear yourself. So projection is very important, but owning your voice. And the only way you can own your voice is you think about what you're saying. So if you have that conviction in what you're saying, we'll talk about a little bit about that later with the script, then you will be owning your voice. The timbre of the voice is important, where you place the voice. Some people are too high, some people are too low. Politicians, there's that very famous example with Margaret Thatcher, and where she, love her or hate her, she actually had a lot of lessons in getting the voice to be lower, because that sort of obviously was very helpful. She had a very high voice apparently, and because then she spoke in a much sort of more, with more conviction, because when you place the voice lower, it has more conviction. And we can work with that too. Articulation, pronouncing the text. We all have that fear of stumbling. I mean, I do it all the time, and I sort of mess up on words, and that's all right. Allow yourself to do that. You're human. Do that. If you're scared about, you know, screwing up and saying the words stumbling or shaking, that's fine. Articulating is very important. And just before you go on, if you get yourself into that space, then exaggerate the words, exaggerate. So if you're worried about saying vocal enhancement, just do that to yourself out loud in a place where people don't think you're completely nuts. I mean, if you go into a dressing room just before a performance, when an actor goes on, they're doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Also, projecting the voice, articulating and projecting. So if you exaggerate, so you say to yourself, vocal enhancement. So you're over exaggerating it. Vocal enhancement, articulation. Also, we work a lot with projecting the voice. A way to do that is actually to get the voice to hit the wall opposite you, which sounds very weird, but it isn't. So you actually throw it physically. I wish I could show you actually, but there's no way you can see me at the moment. But if you can imagine you're saying something like vocal, and you're actually putting your hand up to your mouth and going vocal, getting it out of your mouth, and then smashing it against the wall. That's a really, really great way of getting you to project. Now, I know you're going to have a microphone, but it doesn't matter. This is all, we're building up now. We're building up now to a great speech, okay? We've spoken about the fears. We've spoken about all the anxieties and how to breathe and overcome that. We've spoken about facing your fears in the face, and now we're talking about articulating, projecting, and the timbre of your voice. These are all the things we work through.
That's great, Dee. It's really good to learn on how you can enhance your characteristics, and found in your vocal recordings through, saying things like you're practicing, the word vocal, and where you can throw it back to yourself. So that's fantastic. Yeah. So again, thank you for those that are listening in today, and welcome to those that may have just joined us on today's webinar on powerful public speaking with Dee Anderson. So please do feel free to post any questions that you may have in the chat box, and we will answer them, or Dee will answer them
Sure.
as we go along. So please do feel free to post any questions.
Thanks, Miranda.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for listening in, because my objective really is to make you learn something that's going to be useful to you. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been an actor, performer for a long time. I've been mentoring people for a long time on public speaking, and I have really good testimonials. But it's not about me today, so I don't want to big myself up. But just to tell you, I do know what I'm talking about, because I've done it for so long and helped so many people, and I love helping people in this way, because it's something that's so important for your company and for you as your self-confidence, self-belief, and it's all about that. So it really is something that I'm passionate about, and I'll talk about passion later on. But right, we're going to talk about developing your script. So this is really important as well. We've talked about the projection, we've talked about a lot of other things, but now we're talking about your script. You may write your own script, or you may get somebody to do it for you. Whatever you've done, whatever script you've got in front of you, if somebody else has written it, I want you to rewrite it in your own words, because now we're going to get close to the text, because it's really important that you find something about your job. Now, I'm sure that most of you will love what you do, and some of you will maybe be bored with what you do, but I want you to find the excitement, even if it was something that when you started out, I mean, for instance, if you're selling widgets, it's very difficult to talk about widgets in a very exciting way, but I'm sure there's something about widgets you'll find, like maybe you like the shape of them, or the way they glisten in the light, or the way they shine, or something about the people around you that you work with. Whatever it is, I want you to have that in your mind. The positivity of your job, I want you to have something that you're excited about. Even if you don't say it, I want you to write it down, because audiences really want to know, well, they want to feel the passion. They want to feel that you're engaged and that you really believe what you're saying. And they want to know that you have got the authority and the passion and the love of what you do. And then you start owning your performance. Once you start owning your performance, and that's through the passion, that's where you start winning them over. You start engaging with your audience. You start owning it. Once you start engaging and connecting with the audience, a bit like the guy who was very overweight and started talking at a health conference, and he was overweight and ate bad food, but he started setting himself up. I'm not saying that you're going to, be a comedian and start joking with people, but you could actually start, maybe start with, do you know what? Something like, I was really worried about today because I was quite nervous, but now it's so great to be here and, to connect with you guys and lighten it up a bit. And through your passion and the emotion behind it, because you've worked on that with your script and you've engaged with what you're saying, that's where you're going to get a truthful connection. And I can tell you now, audiences smell if you're not telling the truth. If you're just doing it on the surface, they can smell it, and you'll never, ever connect with them, never. So you've got to have something to go on so that you know what you're talking about. There was somebody recently I worked with, and she was really scared about getting up and talking in public. I mean, terrified. And she was fine actually with a couple of people in an office for a presentation, or maybe 5 people. But as soon as she got on the stage, she would just fall apart. And I got her to connect with her favourite book, which actually was a kid's book. And she's really overcome it. I mean, I love it when I have success stories. I mean, I can't always deliver miracles, but sometimes, as somebody said, we have really cathartic moments, and that, to me, that's my passion, to get to really engage with you and to really help you to be amazing speakers. And that's fantastic.
Okay, so we do have some questions. The first one was from Alex Kerr. So Alex, I hope you can hear us now. I know you sent us a message just before the webinar started. So if you can't, please do let me know. I'll just post another question, or so we can then look into it. So a question from Ruth Howard to...
Forgetting my words.
Yeah.
Forgetting, so in other words, you learn, I presume then, Ruth, you learn your words. And so the best way to do that, if you're learning and you don't have them in front of you, is to have bullet points. If you can have bullet points in front of you, that's good. The way we learn a script actually is in pictures. So we actually imagine, so if you have your own association with, and you draw pictures. So for instance, public speaking, if that's your first bullet point, you would actually have visualize somebody or draw somebody speaking in public, or some association that will remind you of that. I think it's better actually not to have a script, just to have bullet points, because then you're authentic. Being authentic is really important. So forgetting your words, I'd like to hear whether you can have actually some sort of piece of paper or something in front of you, so that to remind you. But actually you can turn, what I really love to do is to turn the negative into positive. So if that's your fear, I'd love to work with you on how to actually make that work for you, because it means then you're working without a script, which is fantastic. Without a script, reading from a script, I mean, because that's when you really are at your best. If you want to contact me afterwards and talk to me, then I can tell you exactly how to do that. But yeah, forgetting the words is very common, and so I can be really helpful on that.
Yeah, sorry, Dee's contact details will be shown to you at the end of the presentation. So if you do, or if you would like to contact Dee, then we'll show her details just towards the end.
Yeah.
So Nikesh Davis, I hope you can hear us now, because you've posted a question saying you can't hear us. So I hope you can hear us, because we're getting questions coming through.
Yeah.
And it seems like people can hear us.
Going blank, Harriet, going blank during a presentation. There's lots of ways you can go blank. If you're reading, if you've got the script in front of you, do you mean, and maybe you could come back and tell me, when you say going blank, do you mean freezing because you're so nervous? Because I can work with you on that, and that's very common. Or do you mean going blank because, again, you're forgetting? But then if you've got it in front of you, I need you to tell me, is that because you freeze, and then you really have to take a beat. If you freeze, I'll tell, because I'm sure a lot of people have that problem. If you suddenly freeze on stage when you're in the middle of a presentation, the best way to do that is to take a beat and to take a deep breath, and actually imagine the most, I would say, the best thing anyone ever said to me, which is very simple, and obviously sometimes the simple things work, is imagine you're talking to one person. And if you can get back to that, connect with your breath. Sometimes it seems like a lifetime if you do that, but the audience, it just looks like you're completely confident because you've got the confidence to take a breath. People, it probably will only be a heartbeat if you do that. So, but it's really important that you actually you can manage it. So if you're really scared and you dry, we call that drying in acting terms, and you can't, you don't know what's next, just take a breath and it will come back to you. I promise you. It's just when you panic, the panic actually will propel you into a freeze frame. So I can tell you how to manage that, but I can tell you now basically how to manage it, but we can work on that more if that's something that you're really fearful of. Okay. Thank you, Gina. Fabulous point, dear, about articulation. So easy to get lost in the moment, forget that. Absolutely. Articulation is really important, and to really, and not be afraid of actually stumbling. The other thing I would say is that you don't have to have a great voice or look fantastic to be a good speaker. It's all about you believing what you're saying. The emotion, passion rules. Passion rules. That, it really, I can't emphasize that enough. You've got to know what you're saying and find something about the job you're doing that you're excited about. Even if you're having to search, some people will just go, yeah, I love my job. And Narinda, I spoke to Narinda before this. She loves her. Do you love your job?
I absolutely love my job.
She loves her job, but she's so fantastic, and it comes across. So, and as I said again, the truth, because audiences. I remember Mick Jagger saying they can smell when you're scared, and even Mick Jagger, can you imagine? Okay. And the other thing I was going to say about the way you look or the way you sound, even though I can work on that with you, is forget that. If you've got the passion, it doesn't matter. And I mean, think of Ed Sheeran, for instance. He's not the typical pop star, and yet he's the biggest recording artist at the moment. And he does it because he believes in what he's doing. There are actors like Tom Cruise who hates the fact he's very short, and yet he's one of the biggest movie stars. I could go on, actually. There are so many people, and you don't have to be amazingly gorgeous or have a beautiful voice to deliver. You've just got to believe in what you're saying. It's really, really important. Oops. Trying to get on to the next one now.
Okay, so we do have some more questions, but Dee's just going to continue with her slides, and then we'll come back to questions.
I have a weird problem. I'm nervous before going on stage, but once I start talking, I'm fine.
Okay, we'll take one more question, and then we'll go back to the slides.
But I start to repeat myself. How do I overcome that? Repeating yourself. Start to repeat myself. That's a really good one, actually. I think actually it's all right. I think don't be scared of repeating yourself. I think what you have to do is, that's your fear. That's a really, really good one, Akisha. Your fear is that you're going to repeat yourself. Okay, good. So I want you to write that down. So what I do, it's very powerful. Once you know what your fear is, and I want you to imagine repeating yourself over and over again and really screwing up your whole presentation. That's a really good way to start. And then we work back from that. So we're staring fear in the face and we're overcoming it. So that's a very, very good way of dealing with it. But I would like to talk to you more about that. If you want to contact me afterwards, I'm really happy to do that for you. And I think also you can do that by making a joke of it. So if you're afraid of repeating yourself, you're going to do it more, because that's your fear will drive you to do it more. But if you could say, if you start repeating yourself, say, oh, look, I'm sorry, guys. I know I've said this before, but I'm saying it because it's important. And sometimes it's important to repeat yourself. So because then you're driving it home. Sometimes people need to hear it more than once. So don't beat yourself up, Akeisha. But if you're scared of repeating yourself, write that down as your fear. And as I said, if we're looking fear in the face, once we know what our problem is, once we know what our fear is, takes the poison out of it, which has been something that that I work with psychology, because the psychology of everything is to do with what your biggest fear is. Right, visualization. And we're on to meditation and performance. We've done a bit of meditation. Meditation is really, really important. And a lot of people poo-poo it and say, oh, ridiculous, doesn't work. But we know scientifically it works. And we know from the Sally Gunnell story that she told me of how she won the race, how she did a lot of visualization, meditation. And it's really important that you do that you meditate, you breathe. And now with visualization, what I do a lot of emotional recall exercises as well, which we do as actors when we're building a character. And that will help you, that will help ground you, because it may help you tap into something that's happened in your life that's actually driven you to be so fearful. It could be that somebody so many years ago has told you you're not a good speaker. Everyone's a good speaker. Everybody who loves their job or can find one thing about the job that they're doing or the presentation, something that they're excited about or they love or they're passionate about, that's all you need. So emotional recall, I do a lot of, which is you imagine a time when you're happy, or this is very simplistic because I go into a lot more, but when you're happy or when you're very sad, when you're scared, we do a lot of that, going right into the emotion. And I can do that through tapping into all of those emotions and events where you can, some people are better at it than others, but I think everybody is able to do this now, because a lot more people now are doing Tai Chi and more aware of spiritual holistic remedies. If you do all of that and you really, really believe it, and you really, even if you don't believe it and you still meditate, I assure you scientifically it's been proved that it works. So have a go. Don't throw it out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just do all of it. The good thing is the combination of all the stuff that we do, of all the stuff that I've worked with, which is the techniques, the psychology and visualization, meditation, the combination of all that really, really works for a powerful presentation. So basically, we're looking at the future, but we're looking at the present. So now, if you start this now, I assure you it's going to work.
Should we go to a question, Dee?
Yeah.
Okay, so from Ryan Howe.
Yeah.
I'm doing a TED talk.
Which is 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously can't use the script or cue cards. What Tezu says to help me to remember the script. Okay. TED Talk is fantastic. Again, as I said, first of all, if you're doing a TED Talk, you must be passionate about what you're talking about. I have no doubt, Ryan. And I think it's really, really great that you're doing the TED Talk. So that's congratulations on that. Again, what we do as actors, because we can't take a script on stage, and we very rarely dry on stage, even people have bad memories, because what we do, we visualize it. First of all, if you connect with what you're saying, it's more likely that you're going to remember. So if you're passionate about what you're saying, as I'm sure you are, you're halfway there. Then I want you to imagine each sentence in pictures. It's much easier then to have an association. So for instance, we're talking about embrace your fears. Well, I'm doing this now because it's in front of me. Embrace your fears. And I want to remember, embrace your fears. Then I'll do a sketch of something that identifies to me fear. Your stumbling blocks are benefits. So you can do some blocks and ticks maybe for benefits. Don't try to be perfect, and so etc. That's the best way of doing that. But I could tell you a lot more about that again. If you talk to me about exactly what you have to do. But thinking in pictures is very, very powerful. All good, thanks. Thank you, Alex. Methods, not speak too fast. Yes, very much so, Patrick. That's a very common one, actually. And it's really, really easy to do. When you're nervous or when you're under pressure, we tend to speed up. So I would work with you. I mean, I could do a bit of work with you now on, again, it's about articulation. And what I said to you about earlier about, I don't know if you were tuning in then, but articulation. So what you're doing is actually, you're taking each word and exaggerating it. This is the best way to slow down. If you do that leading up to the presentation, if you can do that every day for a week, you'll absolutely be fantastic. But for instance, even if you haven't got much time, go into that private space. If you can get there early and get on the stage, do it without an audience there. If you can't, lock yourself in the loo or an office or somewhere where nobody's going to think you're nuts doing all this stuff. And for instance, what you say, you exaggerate each word. This is to slow it down. So you'll go embrace. So rather than you sort of speeding up and going, embrace your fears, or you're stumbling blocks of benefits, you're going to go embrace your fears. Your stumbling blocks are benefits. That's not only going to help you to slow down, it's going to help you to articulate. Because if you're speeding, you're going to be stumbling as well. Okay? But more, I can help you more with that. Is using a lectern a help or a barrier to connecting to the audience? Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Whatever helps you. If you're happy, they're going to be happy. I use a lectern because I like having bullet points in front of me. Sometimes when I'm doing a performance or whatever, I like to have bullet points. Sometimes if I'm doing a play, obviously I don't have a lectern, but there's no barrier. You're the only person that can create a barrier, and you can have the lectern to the side of you and glance at it. It can be actually quite helpful to have a lectern. And again, the only barrier is you being scared. If you can write down your biggest fear, and for instance, if it's speeding up or stumbling or shaking, don't worry about any of that. If you shake, that's absolutely fine. If you know, it's like the play that I did with this guy, a well-known comedian, who at the beginning of the play always shook, and actually we always felt that it got the audience on our side for the play because they saw he was human. So your stumbling blocks are benefits. Okay, that's why the stumbling blocks that you have. So don't worry about going back to your lectern. So because I was diversifying on that. Yeah, using a lectern, whatever gets you through is fantastic. So please go for it and just enjoy. I'm concerned that focusing on fear is focusing on the negative. I wouldn't want to go there. Absolutely right. Who's that? Fiona, you're right, Fiona. Because I do a lot of work with the law of attraction. So believe me, I know all about that. And you're complete, that's a fantastic thing that you've brought up. No, it doesn't, because what we do, all we're doing is identifying the fear. We're not working with the fear. All we're doing is we've got it there. When I studied psychology, my mentor said to me, once you know what the fear is, you can overcome it because it takes the poison out of it. The fear will never actually go away because you'll always have it. You'll always have that in the back of your mind, but you've got it rather than it having you. So that's a very powerful thing, but I'm glad you brought that up because you always have to visualize winning. It's like, again, Sally Gunnell, visualizing winning. Waking up, she woke up with a bad cold and thought, I can either give up and say, and then it will be headlines, Sally Gunnell is a quitter, or I can go for the win, which I've been visualizing and concentrating on. And because of that, she went for the win in spite of everything. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Fiona. And I always focus on the positive, but I want to identify the negative first, so that then when, once we've faced our fear, which is the negative, obviously, then we can overcome. It's already, you're halfway there to overcoming it.
Okay,
Ryan, awesome, thanks, thank you. Thanks, Ryan, fantastic. Thank you, Patrick.
So that's the feedback we're getting. So you've answered the questions and they've just acknowledged that.
Okay, good. Right. Okay, don't try to be perfect. This is a really, really very, very important aspect of it, because this is what we want to do. We want to be perfect. All of us want to be perfect. Even me coming to this today, I was thinking, I just want people to listen to me, and I want people to go away knowing something, helping them on this journey, because everyone that's listening in has got, some sort of reservation about public speaking. But you can't be perfect. Nobody is. Everyone screws up at, or says something or stumbles or whatever it is. But nobody's perfect. And actually, do you know what? As I said, your stumbling blocks, sometimes your imperfections, the things that actually people love about you. And don't try to hide them. Don't try and cover them up. And the biggest thing is, just before you go on stage in a performance, when you're an actor, when you're a professional actor in theatre or in television, when the director directs you, the ultimate thing, you get loads and loads of notes. And then the thing that they say to you always is, enjoy your performance. Go on now. You know what to do. Go and have fun. And that is it. So it's passion, the passion of what you're saying. And then you can enjoy it and relax. And so what if you screw up? So what if you make a mistake? It doesn't matter, because basically nobody's perfect. You cannot be perfect. And then you can enjoy it, because then the pressure's off. You don't have to do the performance. I mean, when you're an actor, you're taught to actually to go to the screen or the stage, warts and all. You think of some of the most powerful actors of all, the big Hollywood actors who aren't perfect, and some of them actually aren't conventionally good looking or have voices that you wouldn't particularly think were great, but yet there's something about them because they relate to Joe Public. So reveal your strengths and your weaknesses. Write them all down. What's good about you? Write all your good points down and all your weak points down. And get other people to tell you your strengths and weaknesses. And work with them and enjoy them, embrace them, and come out onto the stage and know that everyone's unique. and celebrate that uniqueness. And have the passion rules every time. And just so get close to the text. So we're going to get close to the text, rewrite your script, and really, really know that you're a fantastic speaker. It's all about self-belief in the end and confidence. I worked with somebody recently who was doing an amazing job, a brilliant job, and in marketing. Obviously for confidentiality reasons, I can't, say the company or anything like that. And she was really timid. And you would never know how good she was at her job by looking at her. Her voice was tiny, and she came across very sweet, but almost like a junior. You'd think she just started out, but she was a real force in her work. So I worked with her over a couple of days, and we had a major breakthrough with something that we hit on with the fact that she was from a large family. She was the youngest of 6 sisters, and all her sisters spoke for her, so she didn't really have to speak. But she was very good at, she got into university, she got high grades, and she did an amazing job. But she didn't feel it was important to actually get that across, but that was important. And she said to me afterwards that she had a cathartic moment, which to me was fantastic. And as I say, I can't always perform miracles, but I mean, I feel that I can really make a difference. And all of this work can actually infiltrate into other areas of your life as well, not just public speaking, because it's all about your confidence. It's all about you and your self-belief. Is there another?
There is. So please do continue posting your questions. We do have another question. So Deep.
Okay. So, hi Gina. Yes, you work with 3 different people, and is there a common issue coming up time after time with many people you work with? There are several things actually, Gina, that come up time after time. I think it's mainly the confidence issue, and but they reveal themselves in different ways. Confidence issues. Some people have a fear of stumbling on their words. Other people have a fear of, as I've said, shaking, their voice shaking. Other people just have a fear of getting up on the stage. But it's all basic lack of self-belief and self-confidence of delivering a powerful presentation. And really, I work with each individual, and we can work in groups or one-to-one. There are some common issues, and also, but there were some today, like for instance, speeding up. I've had that before, but it's not as common, but really important. And repeating, somebody, Nikisha saying she repeated herself. That hasn't really happened for a long time in terms of an issue, but I can see why. And sometimes, in life, you do repeat yourself. I mean, I repeat myself a lot, but I think most people do, but to get something across. But if you feel you're doing it too much, yes, there's a way of bringing it back. And you get, what I like to do is to get to the core issue. I can do a superficial patch up job of getting somebody to do a great performance. That's not a problem. But that's why I study psychology, because I like to get to the core issue, so that it's not just a sort of a symptom. It's actually the actual the core issue itself, and I take people right back. Some people are resistant to that, but that even if they're resistant, we can still make a difference. But if you really want to change, if you really want to overcome this, do this work. I implore you, because that's the only way you're going to change it for life. And and as I said before, you see, I'm repeating myself now, but it can go into all aspects of your life. Believe me, it can really help you in even in your personal life. But I don't want to get into that because we're talking about your jobs and public speaking. But it's really, really important. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you to do this work.
So Penny has a question on timekeeping.
Yes. How do you neatly deal with, sorry?
How do you neatly deal with close of a presentation when you've run out of time?
Sounds about waving to you to try to close you down. Yeah, we've even had that at the Oscars, haven't we, where people have been cut dead. Okay, I think you've got to be honest. The close of a presentation, I think you've got to be honest and tell the audience it's not you that's just going to be abrupt, and say, look, guys, I'm sorry, I've got to finish now. But I'm being told from the back, it doesn't matter if you're grassing them up a bit, because this is about you. It's all about you on that stage. So I don't care what other people do. You've got to tell them and say, listen, guys, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to stop here. But if you want to talk to me afterwards about blah, blah, like I'm saying to you now, actually, we're running out of time, but I have got more to say to you. But let's but try and be concise and say, but these are but even if they're waving to you from the back, but say, this is important. These bits are important. Have bullet points in front of you to actually sum up, a bit like I've got now, the summary. So I'd say to you, if we're running out of time, right, okay, I can't give you my 20 plus or even more years of experience in an hour, but what I can do is I can sum up my experience. I can give you as much as I can to help you now to start your journey of actually getting to be an amazing public speaker, and I can get you there. Okay, and so this is how you sum up. Bullet points: embrace your fears. I mean, even if Narendra was saying to me, stop, I'd still carry on. Your stumbling blocks are benefits. Don't try to be perfect. Enjoy each performance. Reveal your strengths and weaknesses. That's how you've got to be strong up there. Courage of your conviction, because you're passionate. Passion rules, okay? I'm going to repeat myself, Akeisha. Passion rules. Really get into it. Just enjoy it. Okay.
So thank you from Penny. So
thank you. Thanks, Penny. Really, really great questions, and thank you for the thank yous. Any more questions? And I'll just go back over everything. Okay.
So this webinar is recorded, and if you did want to listen to it again, or if there's anybody within the company that would like to listen to it, then you can just go onto our website, and there's a little YouTube icon at the top where the menu is, and you can just click on that and view today's webinar delivered by Dee Anderson.
And thank you, Gina, for saying great session too. Thank you. Really interesting. Yeah, well, thanks very much for that. I want to get as much, I really want you to come, to take something away, everybody, from this. So I'm going to go over it again. So this is called breaking the deadlock, okay? Gina will understand that because I've worked with Gina and she's amazing. And she will tell you that it has worked with people within the organization. Thank you very much. And so breaking the deadlock, it's all about identifying the fears. And Fiona, don't worry about the negative. I'm really into as I said, the whole thing about positivity. So the self-analysis and breaking the deadlock is actually what this is about, this session is about, and this is what all my work is about, is actually getting to the core and breaking that deadlock that stops you from really being amazing. So, you may not be able to speak at all, or you may be quite a good speaker, but whatever it is, I can help you, as long as you want to do it, you be fantastic with whatever you've got, I promise you. Okay, and your uniqueness, we're all unique. Again, your uniqueness is to really know what that is about you, and overcoming anxiety, stress management, doing the breathing exercises, really helping you to overcome all those sort of stresses, so I can give you more of those really good exercises that we do, which are very, very powerful.
Yep. Joe Withers says thank you. Some excellent advice on key points, which I look forward to testing out.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. That's great that you said that. And really, they do work. This is just the beginning for you. And whether or not you come back to us, it really is up to you. And we'd love to work with you. But this is just the beginning for you now. This is the beginning of you being really a powerful, powerful speaker. Projection, owning the voice, thinking about what you're saying, projecting it, throwing it out there. If you're worried about if it's too high, squeaky, or too low, we can get you placed it right in the middle with exercises. And articulation, which is really important, because we said that about slowing you down if you're too fast, and pronouncing the text. That's really important to do that, because when you're nervous, you do stumble. And if you stumble, so what? Don't worry about it. They'll get over it, okay? Especially if you make a joke of it. Developing your script, exploring the skills of your script, right? So exploring everything about your company, what you want to say, dissecting the abilities, owning the performance by literally being passionate about what you're saying. Don't forget, passion rules, okay? Passion rules. It's really important you're thinking about what you're saying and that you find something exciting to say about what you do. And I'm sure you can all find that, as we said. Even the most bored people out there with their jobs are looking for new jobs. But I'm sure, if you look at the job you're doing, I'm sure you can find something really exciting about it, or interesting, or inspiring. And that's what we want to hear in your script. Even if you don't say it, bring it onto the stage in your thoughts, and it will come across. Believe me, it will come across. That's when you start to own your performance and you start to be really a great speaker. So then you're starting to connect with the audience. You're engaging with your audience through your love of what you're saying, your passion, the emotion you'll have. You don't have to be over the top, like, to deliver a sort of a Shakespearean speech or anything like that. You can talk in your own accent. People, we haven't spoken about accents actually, but use that. Or if you have, Jonathan Ross can't say his R's, but he's made his signature is not saying his R's, and he's one of the most important presenters on television. It doesn't matter. Just be emotional. Just have that conviction. And if you're telling the truth, if you have a truthful conviction, the public will love you. And it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's better if you shake a bit or stumble a bit, because you're human. So don't try to be perfect, and be honest. Honesty rules. If you're telling any sort of untruth and you don't believe what you're saying, they will smell it a mile off. Believe me, the audience will not. They'll switch off, and you'll feel terrible. It's all to do. It's karma as well, but we won't get into that because some of you won't believe that. Meditation and performance. Meditation is really, really vital. As I said, I keep saying about Sally Gunnell, but it's only because I met her recently and she's talking about that and how it helped her winning that big race against the best people in the world. And she puts it all down to the fact that she visualized it. She visualized coming in first, didn't even know she'd won actually when she won the race, because she had her eyes closed. But it was the meditation and visualizing it happening, and that's what a lot of athletes do. So don't throw it out. Don't say, oh, it doesn't work, it's all sort of spiritual sort of rubbish. Get over that if you think that. Could just have a go and do it anyway. Okay. Emotional recall is fantastic. You take yourself to places that you, and I actually do a lot of, I do one thing, have we got time for this, Dorinda?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
One thing I haven't said actually that I do with emotional recall is I take people to a place where, I mean, it's all sort of sent up now about a happy place, but it's not that. It's somewhere where you actually feel at one with yourself, where, you know, somewhere where you've actually, you don't have to tell me what it is. It can be anything. It can be, well, you know, myriad of things. It could be on holiday, something somebody said to you, a proposal of marriage, you know, anything that has made you feel fantastic. And I take you back to that moment in your mind. You don't have to tell me, but we know the people around, we see the surroundings, we smell the surroundings, we get really into it. And that really helps too with the visualization. And we visualize the future. We visualize you delivering a great speech. And that really works. So to sum up.
Okay, so would you like to just sum up that?
Yeah, so we're nearly out.
I think, yeah, we've got about 4 minutes left. So if you do have any more questions, please do post those through and Dee will answer those accordingly.
Yep, absolutely. So again, I'm going over this for people who just tuned in or recently tuned in. Okay, to sum up, embrace your fears. So Fiona, it's about embracing the fears. It's actually turning the fears into something that's good, because sometimes you can work with what you're most afraid of to make it work for you. So your stumbling blocks are benefits. Think Jonathan Ross, or other stumbling blocks like stuttering or shaking or whatever. Sometimes you can make them work for you. Think about the shaking hand of the guy that started the play and how the audience were empathetic to that, because they knew he was human, and everyone's been there. Everyone's got a story about being nervous, and you don't have to cover up your nerves. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to cover up your nerves. If you try to cover up your nerves, you're going to be more nervous. I work with people and I actually get them to shake more. That's, you know, and it works. You enjoy each performance, enjoy what you're doing, because once you're passionate, once you find one thing that in your work that you enjoy, then you're you know, you start, you're taking off to be a great performer. Reveal your strengths and weaknesses. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Your stumbling blocks, your strengths, your weaknesses, it's you, it's your uniqueness. Be proud of being you and get out there and show them, and don't be afraid. Okay. I'm here if you need me. You can contact me. The contact details are there. I'd love to work with you guys. I just hope I've already given you stuff to work with. That was my absolute objective. My passion is to help you. That is, you know, that's the truth. And
passion rules.
Passion rules. Thanks, see, I'd forgotten to say that again. I keep repeating that, but yes, passion rules. And thank you so much. I'm so grateful to every one of you for listening in, because it's taking time out of your day. But I just really hope I've helped you. And
Ruth Howard.
Ruth, thank you to great. Oh, thank you, Ruth. I'm glad it's been helpful to you. That's all I want. That's all I wanted from today, to help you guys. And Ravi, thanks, dear Narinda. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm so grateful to you all. And
yeah. Thank you, Dee, for coming into our office today and to deliver such a great webinar on powerful public speaking. So it's been great having you here today and learning about, you know, powerful public speaking. I'm stumbling now. And you've touched on some really good points. Definitely something I'm going to be taking away from today's session. So articulation, breathing techniques, own your own performance, and passion rules. Definitely. Yes. So some really useful tips here and some techniques that we can take away with us today. So as I said, this webinar is recorded and will be available to listen again, probably from tomorrow morning. And that's through our website. There's a YouTube link on the menu at the top of the homepage. So you can just click through that and view any past webinars and also Dee's webinar from today's session. So thank you. We really appreciate having you here and
I loved it.
this
I love
wonderful
being
webinar.
here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to
You're
everyone.
welcome. You're welcome. So as you can see on the screen, we've got Dee's contact details. So please do contact her. You can also visit Dee's website.
That's the wrong website.
Okay. So it's...
Oh, it's the wrong website. It's actually uniquity.d@uniquity.vip. Uniquity, UNIQUITY. You can contact me d@glowtime.tv or d@uniquity.vip.
And there's a telephone number there as well. Yeah.
Yes, it's uniquity.vip is the correct email address, not Glowtime. Glowtime is my online magazine, which I'm sure you'd all enjoy, but this is not what that's about today. So, okay.
That's great. So we've got lots of thank yous coming in now.
Yes.
Hidden, so thank you very much for the guidance and motivation.
Thank you, Hidden.
Sonia, thank you. Emma, thank you. So thank you so much for listening in.
Thank you, Sonia.
Okay.
And thank you so much, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, okay. I thought we pressed mute. Okay, then.